Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. This is the Honda H'ness CB350. Okay, H'ness is a lot to say for a motorcycle which is actually an entry-level cruiser because it's a single cylinder, of course. Anyways, the design of this motorcycle follows the retro language. Of course, at the front we get a 19-inch wheel and this happens to be a 100 section tire from MRF. We get a 310mm disc as well, of course, ABS and telescopic forks. These are actually from Showa. Meanwhile, the light, obviously everything has to be circular because that's how retro works. You see it gets all LED lights, kind of bright right now, and these are actually the indicators which also are DRLs, which also turn into, the hazard light can also be used, which is kind of confusing because right now these are the DRLs. When I indicate, this will still be on. If I'm indicating this one, it will start blinking. Wow. And of course it also works as a hazard. You get a lot of chrome on this motorcycle. Everywhere there is chrome. Pardon me because Dhanil has really dirtied the motorcycle today, but you get chrome exhaust, you get chrome on the engine as well, and because this is the deluxe variant, it gets dual horns too, so that you can get as honky as you want. Meanwhile, you see the build quality is actually nice, but something is amiss on a Honda motorcycle, which is the quality of the seat, which we'll come to in a bit. At the rear we get a 130 section rear tire, which again obviously has to be from MRF because the front tire is from MRF's Apple, which means quality levels of the tires are good enough. Again, chrome mudguard, you get all LEDs at the rear, also LED brake light, LED indicators, and this is a very sturdy sari cart. In fact, you can actually stand on it and it doesn't budge. Okay, don't judge me for my pink shoes. I got it as a gift from Nurain. That said, you see that is of course a little dirty motorcycle, but still quality levels are actually nice. You get you don't get a monoshock suspension on this bike. You get dual shocks. It says H'ness CB350. Now I'll tell you what, this actually opens with a key, but the seat, in order to be opened, you have to remove this from here and then you have to remove it from here as well, and then only the seat comes out. Now the seat is very flimsy. See, it's moving. It's tight, but it's moving. See the gap. See the panel gap of the seat. Absolutely shocking. It says Honda here, of course. It's a 15-liter fuel tank on this motorcycle. Grab rail feels nice to hold, and a lot of buttons here. Now it gets Bluetooth connectivity. That's why it's got so many buttons. Now these buttons are for the Bluetooth and also for the multi-information display on the instrument cluster. Mirrors are round, instrument cluster is round, everything is round on this motorcycle. Okay, let's do one thing. Let's turn on this motorcycle. Here, it doesn't get a single starter. You have to keep it pressed. This is the hazard light button. Hazard lights are on. What I was telling you earlier, I'll just show it to you. So right now I put an indicator. The indicator is working here, but this thing is on already. So freaking confusing on this motorcycle. What's happening? Now this instrument cluster gets an analog speedometer. There's no tachometer on offer, but there's a digital display which is telling you the gear position indicator, the time. It's also showing you the Bluetooth logo, fuel meter, but this above thing can be browsed because it's got twin trip meters. So let me browse through that right away. So there are the twin trip meters of this motorcycle. It's also showing you the odometer as well as the battery voltage and the range indicator too. Which one's connected to Bluetooth will show you a lot more information. Dhanil, can you please connect your phone and show it to us right now? Till then, we're just going to rev this motorcycle for no reason at all. No bass, loud, but yeah, a lot of treble. Okay, this is actually the navigation now. When I press this button here now, I can browse through all this, and then this lady is going to start talking all the time. What is she saying? Okay, this for volume and all, and then you can change stuff from here. Okay, these are actually nice controls. The horn quite loud on this motorcycle. Now it's also got a USB charging socket, C to C fast charger right there, which is again there on the deluxe variant. So now Dhanil is going to look at me and say, what does this mean? This means peace or what? He's a Honda fanboy, keeps saying Honda, Honda, Honda. Yet he does not keep Honda bikes clean. What is this, bro? What is this, bro? Let's start riding right away. Alright, we are all set to go. You know what? These are also the buttons with which you can browse through various information here. Yeah, that's right. You can browse through various information from here. Bike has done less than 1000 kilometers. I'm just going to trip this meter right now. There it's to 0 because these controls when used by Bluetooth means that you cannot use them anymore, so you can use this one. And here are the telltale lights. It shows something like T, which is basically Honda's stock control, so like a traction control system. Let's turn on the motorcycle. There it rose to life. You know what? The motorcycle will not start if the side stand is down. So it's got a side stand indicator as well. It's got a main stand too. Here, side stand is down. Right now the motorcycle is on, but as soon as I put it in gear, turns off, and then it won't even crank. Like at least the KTM bikes crank. This won't. Turning it on into first gear, revving the motor, and off we go. First gear 50 km/h. In second gear, the motorcycle does almost 80 km/h. Brakes are the same as the Honda CB350 I, which then has actually, so yeah, at the rear you get a 240 mm disc brake, at the front 310 mm. Braking performance is adequate, not great, not bad at all. Tires do offer good amount of grip on this motorcycle. The engine is super duper refined, shockingly very refined. Now this is a 348.36cc single cylinder SOHC engine, which obviously fuel injected, and you know what, it is actually quite refined unless and until you get into the top end of the rev range, where it kind of gets very vocal. It's not a good sounding motorcycle, it's more loud as such without any bass, more of treble, and that is a slight problem here because it doesn't have that same sound charm of a Royal Enfield motorcycle, but it does perform quite well. Accelerates very smoothly. Low end performance isn't good, top end is also not good. Mid range is where the sweet spot of this motorcycle is. It really performs well in the mid range. In fact, it is very punchy in the mid range, pulls aggressively ahead, and the handling is super duper awesome on this bike because it kind of feels like a KTM Duke 200 in a lot of ways. The way it makes its power as well as the way it handles, handling is very nice. Okay, now the frame obviously happens to be a duplex frame, split duplex frame, which doesn't make this bike feel heavy at all. This is around 181 kgs, feels much lighter than a Royal Enfield motorcycle. In fact, you don't feel like you're riding a cruiser motorcycle. Handlebar is also very light and nimble, and you can easily close gaps without any issue. Now this engine produces 20.786 horsepower at 5,500 rpm, and the torque output happens to be 30 newton meters. So let's see what it's got, which means here we're going to rev the motor. Revving it, and I've stalled it. Yeah, it picks up pace immediately because, you know, throttle response is very crisp on this motorcycle. Amazing throttle response without a doubt. And this is a motorcycle which should do a top speed of around 130 kilometers per hour, but it's got a 5-speed gearbox, which is kind of disappointing. But the gearbox is really crisp with its shift, super crisp, and the clutch is a shock here. It's super duper light. I kid you not, the clutch is so light, it's so light you can actually operate it with your little finger. I am not kidding, I'll show that to you in a bit. See, just see how it goes around the corners with a lot of enthusiasm. This is a beautiful handling motorcycle, but at the cost of ride quality, because the rear, which can be adjusted, feels kind of stiff. I mean, the overall suspension is on the stiffer side, and the rear is more stiffer, and the rear suspension isn't compliant enough, which gets to your back somehow, although it can be adjusted, but it's of no use as such because the ride quality is just on the stiffer side. It's saying eco right there, which is also interesting because fuel economy is between 25 to 28 kilometers per liter, 15 liter fuel tank. So you can do the maths, what will be the range of this motorcycle. Now this seems to be a nice upgrade from Activa to CB350 for those guys who are on scooters, want to go to a cruiser motorcycle and don't want to join Royal Enfield as such. Anyways, that said, engine sounds really loud, and then the vibrations creep in near the red line. In fact, there's so many vibes. You can feel it on the tank, you can feel it on the seat, you can feel it on the pegs as well as the handlebar. That is the level of vibe. Slightly front side foot pegs, obviously. Now we are into 4th gear. Yeah, a lot of wind blast, of course. The mirror as well, you have to really adjust them a lot because they don't give you a good view of what's around. Circular mirrors, well, that's about form over function probably. Well, who really cares? What people really like about this bike is that this gives you some amount of the Royal Enfield feel without the hassles of owning a cruiser motorcycle, which happens with Royal Enfield because not all the motorcycles are as reliable as Honda's. I mean, none of the motorcycles are as reliable as Honda's. I mean, no motorcycle is as reliable as Honda's motorcycles. That is a general conception, and for the most part that's also true because Honda's engines are bulletproof without a doubt. Yeah, in a higher gear when you pick it up, now there's some amount of thump, but yeah, it doesn't have the sound you would expect at all. Now around the corners, I love the way how nimble and agile it is. It's very easy to flick this motorcycle, and obviously it offers good amount of grip. This is a bike you can actually do a knee down on, a cruiser motorcycle on which you can do a knee down. Well, that is what happens with this particular motorcycle. That's how good the handling is, but then the ride could have been a lot more comfortable. Now it's got a slipper clutch as well, it's got ABS, of course, traction control too, which means that if you try to launch it aggressively on a road with gravel, it will cut in, torque control, whatever. Now see, my little finger can operate the clutch. That is how light the clutch is. It's obnoxiously light, the clutch, super duper light, which is super impressive without a doubt. Here we're going to stop, we're going to put the motorcycle into 1st gear. Here we're into 1st gear, we're going to rev the motor and let's go. Here, yeah, traction control can be turned off, by the way. The price of this motorcycle is 2,25,000 rupees. which is slightly more expensive than the Royal Enfield Classic 350. Well, very slightly actually, doesn't really matter, but you get a motorcycle which is so much better, much more reliable, but doesn't have the old world charm of what Royal Enfield offers with its Classic 350. But still, I like it, I dig it, because I feel this is a much easier motorcycle to live with. And then of course it corners really well, it corners with a lot of enthusiasm. And on that bombshell, it's time to end. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure to give the thumbs up, that's the like button. In fact, taking a U-turn, you'll be shocked how easy it is on this bike because of the lightness of this particular machine. There you can do it without any hassle whatsoever. Bye bye.